The allegations against USAID, whether framed as covert terrorism funding or as a destabilizing force masked as benevolence, reveal a deeper tension. While the claims by the Trump's administration might seem politically charged, they inadvertently amplify long-standing grievances from activists and scholars in recipient nations. These critics argue that USAID, despite its humanitarian branding, has historically functioned as an instrument of US geopolitical interests that exacerbate instability and entrench dependency in the name of development. But how did the USAID come to exert such influence? USAID was born in 1961 as part of Cold War strategy, explicitly designed to counter Soviet influence by linking aid to alliances with the US. This legacy persists. While the agency funds vaccines, schools, and infrastructure, its programs often align with US strategic priorities, not neutral development. In Latin America during the 20th century, USAID-backed regimes accused of human rights abuses, such as Pinochet in Chile, under the guise of promoting democracy, while financing projects that prioritized US corporate access to markets and resources. Similarly, post-9/11, USAID budgets in Afghanistan and Iraq surged, with projects tied to counterinsurgency goals. Activists condemned this because it amounts to using aid as a weapon of soft power, and that it destabilizes societies by privileging US interests over local needs. Critics have highlighted concrete ways USAID undermines sovereignty. One of these is bypassing national governments to fund NGOs or private contractors, thereby weakening state capacity. In Haiti, for instance, over 90% of post-earthquake aid flowed to foreign entities, while government institutions were sidelined. Also, loans or grants are often mandated on the conditions of neoliberal policies like privatization. Structural adjustment in 1980s Africa, supported by USAID and the IMF, dismantled public services and consequently led to increase in poverty and migration crises. Moreover, in countries like Syria and Yemen, it is alleged that USAID-funded civil society groups have deepened sectarian divides. Similarly, in Bolivia and Venezuela, USAID programs openly supported anti-government groups that framed regime change as democracy promotion. Also, agricultural programs promoting US-backed GM crops through companies like Monsanto have also been opposed as capable of displacing indigenous farming and economies in the South. The Doge team's claim that USAID funnels money to terrorists may seem exaggerated, but it resonates because it exploits legitimate suspicions. In conflict zones like Somalia or Syria, aid diversion is rampant. However, USAID's activists argue this is a symptom of flawed design, not proof of intent. USAID relies on subcontractors and intermediaries with little oversight, creating loopholes for exploitation. For example, in 2015, a Pentagon audit found that $500 million in Syria aid likely reached extremists due to poor vetting. Why do USAID's supporters and beneficiaries struggle to rebut these critiques with concrete evidence? The agency's defenders tend to dismiss accusations of terror funding as conspiracies. Rather than engage the evidence from their opponents, they are claiming that the Trump's administration is defunding US developmental aids to the needy. For an organization claiming to lead efforts in development assistance, refusing to engage with critiques of its operations is illogical and counterproductive. Accountability is essential to maintaining trust and effectiveness in developmental work.